I offer my most humble and loving pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Lord Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Om Shri Sai Ram. On behalf of the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Toronto, York, I welcome each and every one of you to this evening's birthday celebrations. Tonight, we have the wonderful opportunity to see the birthday offerings for Swami's 95th birthday by our Group 3 boys and Group 3 girls SSE students under the theme, My Story is His Story. Sit back and enjoy. Jai Sai Ram.
I offer my most humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of Mother Sai. Sai Ram everyone. For the next 2 hours, you will be watching the presentations prepared by our Group 3 boys and girls. Our offering includes 5 group presentations from boys and 5 group presentations from girls. Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, Dustara Bhavasagara Taranam. To cross the ocean of life and death, we have to hold on to our Guru's feet firmly. In other words, to always live in Sai. How do we do that? All of us, especially our kids, are being taught the importance of these 2 lines. During this troubling time the world is facing, and to come out of it with our faith stronger. The easiest way to live in Swami is to read about his story. Our Group 3 kids did exactly that and are presenting 10 pearls strung into a beautiful necklace and are offering it to Swami. The kids have also shared their personal reflections on these stories. Without further ado, let us all watch our Group 3 kids offering. Sai Ram.
Respective aunties, uncles, sisters, and brothers.
Om Shri Sai Ram.
We offer our humble pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
Swami, we wish you a very happy birthday.
To the position we all are in, this year we're doing our own version of My Story is His Story.
Please enjoy, stay safe, and take care, everybody. During the time of Swami's childhood, many children would gather around him. They loved to listen to Swami's loving words that tried to implement them in their own lives, starting from a very tender age. Both Muslims and Hindus lived in the village of Puttaparthi. The Muslims celebrated many festivals, where the Hindus joined in as well.
Whether we choose to follow Krishna, Jesus, or even Allah, it doesn't matter. All religions follow one principle: love all and serve all. It doesn't matter who we are. We must learn to put our differences aside to love all, because love has no boundaries. So I invite you all to come celebrate the Muslim festival with me.
But Raju, I know my parents will not allow me to participate in this festival.
My dear, first and foremost, you are a human being. Your religion is love, and your caste is the caste of humanity. Therefore, you should always keep that principle of unity as your goal.
The parents of these children, however, were not happy with what Swami was teaching them.
What, Raju? You're spoiling our children, teaching them that there should not be any differences between caste and religion?
Religions are many, but there is only one truth that is shared among us all. There's divinity in each and every one of us. Through loving all, you are loving God Himself.
Swami was not afraid of anyone. He alone says, "Why should we fear when we are speaking the truth? Truth alone will protect you. We can achieve anything in this world with truth as our weapon."
I've always been afraid to speak this truth, especially to my elders, because see this though, as every time we speak the truth, we are only getting punished. But that isn't true. The good seek the truth, and the bad are rescued by the truth, as Swami says. Remember this one particular instance. Saw this girl who's always been left out. Always wanted to to hang out with us, but I was always scared of my friend's judgment. Now that you think of it, they aren't my real friends if I would be scared of their judgment, because loving all despite their differences, is the only truth. This is another instance when Swami disagrees with the doings of his elders to speak the truth. Swami walks up to some villagers who are killing animals to sacrifice them for puja.
Sathya, what are you doing here?
Hello, Uncle. I was just going on a walk, but why are you killing all these poor animals?
You won't understand, Sathya. These entrails will be sacrificed to the gods in the yagna fire, and they will protect us.
The gods don't want that, Uncle. God is in each of those living beings. You are killing innocent life, believing that you will be blessed in return. This is wrong. This is equivalent to murder. All of you must understand this. The best form of prayer is doing service to others, speaking the truth and surrendering yourself to God.
What are you saying, boy? This is no way to speak to your elders. Don't interfere with any work around the village that isn't yours.
I only speak the truth and still know that what you are doing is wrong. Punish me if you want to, but you won't gain anything, and I will continue to teach the children the truth of life.
Swami gets up from his seat and walks away. Meanwhile, the villager expresses his outrage to Swami's father.
I can't tolerate Satya's behavior.
I'm sorry, please don't think of him badly. He's still a child. He's still learning between right and wrong. I promise this won't happen again. When we speak the truth, we are speaking the words of God. Swami says this: God is truth and truth is God. Truth is also the highest form of dharma, right conduct. When I speak the truth, I know it's my conscience guiding me on the right path by telling me the right thing to do. It's the God inside me speaking up. However, when I speak untruth or not the whole truth, it's one of my 6 vices taking over my decision and forcing me to lie. By meditating, I'm beginning to gain more control of the evil human qualities inside me and able to listen to the God inside me more and make wiser decisions and speak more truth. And finally, as Swami says, believe that there is nothing greater than truth, nothing more precious, nothing sweeter, and nothing more lasting. Swami has faced many circumstances where he would correct his elders to enforce right actions in the village. Many of those times he would be neglected and ignored because of his young age. Yishrama was baffled by his audacity to talk back to his elders, yet Swami would continue to argue with his parents that he knew what he was doing was right.
Why do you interfere with matters pertaining to the elders? Moreover, you're bringing yourself a bad name.
I consider what I'm doing is a good work. When I'm thus engaged in good work, how can my name ever be tarnished? Every individual should help his fellow human beings to the extent possible. Father always asks me, you are just a small kid. Why do you interfere in the affairs of elders in this village?
You yourself are still a child. How would you know what is right? The children's parents find out what you are teaching them. They will be furious with you.
Mother, I will only continue to do what is right.
Before I read the chapter, The Philosopher, from the book His Story, I would avoid telling my parents the truth, from the consequences I would need to face. An experience I've had is if I ever got a bad mark on one of my tests, I'd always fear to tell my parents. After reading the book, I realized that our parents love us and would never scold us for mistakes we made. So if I get a bad mark on one of my tests or make a mistake, I don't hide anything from my parents. So, Swami always says, before your trouble arrives, I'm present the day before. I'm always there, so smile, my Bhakta. Why fear when I am here? Truth alone will protect you. Now I understand the importance of always speaking the truth and never hide anything from my parents.
Children of the village showered their love and utmost respect to Swami for his honest messages and lessons. They felt a strong bond with Swami because they felt protected and knew they could rely on him for anything.
The relationships we have with our loved ones are a significant part of our life. Truth is a key to forming stronger and loving bonds. Our beloved families and friends would celebrate our character if we speak the truth. Likewise, the children of the village celebrated Swami for his honesty. We would also feel sheltered and protected when we are around them, which would result in an unbreakable relationship. I personally feel when I'm honest to my loved ones, I feel an intimate bond with them, and I feel I could share my ups and downs with them. In conclusion, we need the support and love of our family and friends to attain success in life, and truth is a crucial aspect we need to pursue in order to achieve it. Swami says we can acquire happiness and love when we speak the truth.
Thank you so much for watching.
Hope you enjoyed our creation.
Please stay safe and take care of your family.
Om Shri Sai Ram.
We are planning on taking a modern perspective for our presentation for Swami's 95th birthday. We wanted to replicate a story of Swami in a modern situation. In today's case, it would be a Zoom call.
Saram boys.
Saram uncle.
Let's start the day off with 3 ohms. Krishiv, can you start off the day?
Sure, uncle.
Well done, Krishiv. How are you and how was your week?
It was good, uncle. I was studying so hard for our math test.
Wow, that's very good to hear. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking.
That's good to hear. How about you, Kumanan?
I'm doing good, uncle.
I also have some excellent news to break to you. Swami will be joining our class today. So on another note, today is our math quiz that you've been studying very hard for. In the chat, I will be sending a Google form link right now.
Saram Swami.
Saram boys, I heard from your teacher that you had a math test today. How was it?
It was very easy, Swami.
It was good, Swami.
I know everything. Don't hide from me. Are you sure you're okay?
I'm sure, Swami. Everything's okay.
Christian, what mark did you get?
91, Swami.
Work harder and do better next time. Kumanan, what is your mark?
55.
Bangaru, did you eat breakfast? I couldn't hear you. Say it again, Kumanan.
65, Swami.
Wow, good job. Swami is very proud.
But Swami, while Krishiv got 91%, you are praising Kumanan for only 65%. Why is that?
Bangaru, you might see the results of both students and judge them by their results, while I've seen the efforts each student has made and I judge them by their efforts. You see, Krishiv is a very excellent student and had no trouble passing exams and tests. But for this test, Krishiv took it easy, and that's why I told him to work harder and do better. And both Krishiv and I knew that he could have done better and even achieved 100%, while Kumanan struggled to even get 50% to pass exams and tests. But Kumanan was determined to make me proud of him. He worked hard for this quiz, and even though he got 65%, he was able to go from 50% to 65%. And that's why I praise Kumanan for getting 65%. So you see, man judges us by our results, while I judge you by your efforts, because I know how hard you are working.
Now we will be explaining our understanding of the story, and we will be sharing our personal reflections and how we will implement the moral in our life. What really resonated with me was when Swami told one boy to do better when he scored 91% and congratulated another boy that scored 65%. As many would have, I thought about why Swami would congratulate someone for getting a low mark and tell someone who got a higher mark to do better. I only looked at the results, whereas Swami had looked at the efforts prior to the test. An example from my personal life was when I had attended my first Taekwondo competition. I had lost in the first round. I was frustrated, but when I had left the ring, my parents and coach congratulated me for trying my best. When the nationals competition came up the next year, with the right motivation from my guardians, I was able to fix my flaws and came in second place. With the right motivation, I was resilient and was successful the next time around. In relation to the story, losing my first competitions and my guardians motivating me was like Swami congratulating the boy who had scored 65%. This story has helped me understand how Swami's perspective of people is different from humans' perspective of people. Generally, humans judge each other by results. some of us don't look at the other factors that cause these results. Whereas Swami truly puts one in another's shoes, sees their side of the story, and gives them the motivation needed to be successful the next time around. Thank you, Insiram.
When first reading this story, many parts called out to me, but the main one that I was able to connect with was when Swami told the boy who got 91% to do better instead of praising him for getting a good mark. To me, this part of the story really stood out. One real-life experience that I had that stood out and connected to this story was that I recently started high school, and as soon as I started, I noticed that the workload was much more than it was last year when I was in grade 8. I had a science test that I got a 70% on, and my mom helped me understand that I have the potential to get a better grade and work harder for a better mark. She really helped me understand the best way to work better is to manage my time. I took her advice and I planned out how to study for my next science project over the week so I'm able to manage my time instead of rushing it all in 2 nights. I planned my week out and how I will accomplish getting the higher mark and grade on my project. This led to me being able to achieve a 99% on my science project. This shows how I worked for my mark and helped me with my time management skills so I'm able to get higher marks and bring up my overall average.
When I first read the story that we have chosen, I thought to myself about why Swami would be praising the student who got a lower mark than the student that got a higher mark. Since I read the story, I realized that we shouldn't judge someone by their results because that particular person could be intelligent, but they might have inner feelings that are bothering them. Swami knew that the student that got 91% could have got 100%. He didn't put effort into his test, so he was told to do better next time. On the other hand, the student that got 65% had a hard time to even pass the test, so we can tell that he was determined to make Swami proud of him. My connection to the story would be my school basketball tournament. My whole team was working hard to win the championship, but there was one lazy player in our team. He was shooting whenever he wanted to, and he didn't work as a team. Basketball is a game with strategy. We need to work as a team because teamwork makes the dream work. We took a timeout and our whole team took the time to encourage him to play as a team. We got back into the game and as a result, we dropped many buckets and we also won the championship. In the end, we learned a lesson that giving full effort can give happy results. Everyone should try their best even though it's an easy or hard situation.
When I read the story of Swami about looking at the efforts of both students, I thought about how I would just judge both students by their mark. From this story, I realized that I should always try my best and study as hard as I can no matter how easy the task is. When I was 10 years old, I went to swimming classes and I kept on failing the lessons. When I was 11, I started practicing in practice swims and I finally passed the level. This shows that if you put in all your effort, you will get good results.
One part of the story that had resonated with me was when Baba had praised the boy that got 65% but had scolded the boy that got 91%. The moral of the story is that people judge others by their results while God judges you by your efforts because He knows how hard you've worked. Now, there was a big experience in my life that I could relate to with this particular story. I was only a 7-year-old back then. My mother had just registered me to go to the spelling bee. I had practiced really hard, however, I did not win the competition that day. After that day, I wanted to try again at the competition. What had really motivated me this time was that I hadn't put my 100% last time I was at the competition, and I had felt bad after I'd lost. I hadn't put my best efforts that year. The next year, for the spelling bee, I worked more longer, I have worked more harder, and I put my 100%. The hard work I put was about to pay off. I was one of the final 3 people at the competition. After many wrongly spelt words, I had won the competition. All my hard work had paid off. This story's connection to my story is that both the boy that got 65% and myself, we both failed our test, or in the other boy's case, many times. However, we had a motivation that we had to succeed to a greater state than we were from where we were before. The connection between both our experiences is that we both put in our 100% after failing the first time.
We offer our humble pranams at the lotus feet of our dearest Swami. Respected gurus, aunties, uncles, and students, Om Shri Sai Ram. My name is Karanji and I will be your narrator.
I'll be acting as Prisoner 1 and Villager 1. I am prisoner number 2.
My role is Kalpagiri.
Om Shri Sairam, I'm going to be playing the role of Sai Baba.
The prison in Andhra Pradesh was gaunt and grim, but not far from God's grace. This story is about prisoners writing letters to Swami. Sathya Sai Baba wrote back to some of the prisoners and offered them guidance to remind them that they are worthy of love and forgiveness. There was once a man named Kalpagiri who committed a murder. He then ran away from his hometown to escape the police.
What have we done? I must get out of here before the police arrive.
Kalpagiri disguised himself as a monk and ran away to the Himalayas. Hoping to try and find some inner peace, he interacted with many other monks, visited holy sites, and read numerous sacred books, but he still felt tormented by his past.
You know, I heard of a miracle. There is a saint in Puttaparthi who's supposed to be the avatar of Shirdi Sai Baba. My family and I are going to visit for 1 month.
Puttaparthi is right next to my hometown. I've been on the run for so many years. Maybe this is a sign that it's time for me to find answers close to home.
Kalpagiri arrived at Puttaparthi dressed as a sannyasi. Swami called him in for an interview.
Theft, enmity, and murder have to be atoned for. You have taken a life of another human being. That means you must bear the consequences. Why are you postponing your consequences into another lifetime? It will only result in suffering.
Swami convinced Kalpagiri to turn himself in and confess to his crime. Upon entering the prison, Kalpagiri started to share his stories with the other prisoners. Some of them heard about this and wrote to Swami for his blessings. Swami would write back to the prisoners and give them messages of spiritual guidance and love.
Respected Sai Baba, we have committed terrible sins, but we are filled with hope and we've been led to your grace. Baba, you have shown mercy to men who have harmed society and are being punished. This is no ordinary feat.
Dearest Baba, each letter that comes to us from Prashanti Nilayam is a blessing. Truly, it is as if you are before us conversing with us.
Over time, some of the prisoners had their criminal sentences reduced by the government because of their changed behavior and positive contributions. Others did not have their sentence changed, but definitely experienced a change in outlook.
We realize that we are more than just this body.
I have faith in Baba's words.
Hate and anger are not a part of me, nor is disease possible for me.
I may hiss warning correct, but I never hate.
I am wisdom, I am bliss, I am peace. Repeat after me.
I can connect my legs to the story because one time when I was 7, I took a bag of candy from my grandfather's room without asking. Sooner or later, my family found out. What surprised me the most was my mom being so angry with me, and my grandfather did not appear angry at all. He was very calm and just said, "I forgive you." And then he even went on to say, "The next time you want candy, just ask me so I can give it to you." At first, I was just scared about being in trouble, but when my grandfather said that, I wanted to be better. I feel like this could be similar to what the prisoners felt when they got supporting and loving messages from Swami, rather than anger. Doing things because of fear and anger and pain do not make us better. When we experience love, we automatically want to do better.
I can connect to the story because when I read that Kalpagiri and the other prisoners had committed their crimes, I felt that they deserved to be punished. But when Swami talked to them with love and respect and encouragement, I realized that everyone deserves to be treated with respect. Love all, serve all applies to everyone, even if we don't like them.
This story makes me think about wanting to take responsibility and earning forgiveness. I used to procrastinate with my homework when I was in middle school. I would constantly tell myself, "I'll do it tomorrow," but I never wanted to. I started getting lower marks and even failed a test. I finally told my parents and my teacher that it was my own fault that I was doing badly, and I tried to take responsibility for it. Though they were disappointed, they were happy that I owned up to it and even supported me by sharing some tips and helping me make a new routine so I don't have to face this problem again. This connects to how Swami also spoke to Kalpagiri and wrote to the prisoners with support and how much it helped them, even though they had made some very bad mistakes in their lives. If we take one step towards Swami, Swami will take 10 steps towards us.
This story reminds me of a small incident that happened to me in grade 6. So I have two best friends. So one day for recess, we were outside drawing and we were having a competition. By accident, I ended up spilling water all over her artwork. Without even thinking, she got very mad at me and she said, "Don't ever talk to me again." I was very hurt by her words, but I didn't know what to respond, so I just left that place silently. A few days later, I tried to talk to her and contact her to maybe talk about this problem. But that's when schools got closed because the shutdown happened. So I was still waiting and hoping I could talk to her. So a few days later, which is actually a month later, Simran ended up reaching out to me and she started apologizing and begging me to forgive her. I was very shocked and I didn't know what to respond. So I took some time to think over it. After that day, I started praying and talking to Swami, what should my next move be? As soon as I said this, my consciousness was telling me to be kind and forgive her. I also told her to promise me she would try to control her angry temper, not only with me, but with everyone else. So that's what I ended up doing. So after this incident happened, me and Simran started talking again and we ended up being good friends again. This story of Swami Kalpagiri and the prisoners has a huge impact because it always teaches you how to be kind to other people and always forgive them. Om Shri Sai Ram.
This story makes me think about getting a second chance. I have a bit of an issue with dentophobia, which makes me feel very uncomfortable when brushing my teeth. Because of this, I had to get lots of fillings and even some teeth extracted, because I had lots of problems with my teeth. And about a month ago, I noticed that I was getting some cracks in my back teeth, and I knew it was because I wasn't following the proper brushing technique that I was supposed to be doing. I was scared that I would get in trouble, so I didn't tell anyone in my family, and instead I put vibhuti on my teeth every day and prayed to Swami to help me while also making sure I brushed properly. When my mom booked my next appointment with the dentist, I panicked, but then I prayed to Swami again and again. Then I became calm because I just had a feeling that Swami would take care of it all. Then the results came back. My teeth were completely fine. The cracks had disappeared and Swami had helped me. The story made me think about how Swami could give me a second chance to fix my behavior with my teeth and give even a second chance to Kalpagiri and the prisoners to change their mindset. This story reminds us that everybody deserves a second chance.
Thank you for listening. Love all, serve all. Jai Sai Ram.
Saram everyone, thank you for giving us the opportunity to present our reflections on resilience. Resilience is our ability to bounce back despite all odds. Resilience is dealing with life and its ups and downs stoically, never losing faith He is there and that He has a plan. I believe that resilience entails having the ability to cope and deal with all circumstances, whether good or adverse, as these are two sides of a coin, with resolute faith in the Lord, trusting that everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen is Swami's will, and we should have trust and faith, as well as patience to understand it. There are several examples in our offering, as well as a real-life story with which we will highlight this belief.
Once, there was a boy named Vijay who suffered from severe headaches since 1997, which often also induced vomiting. Upon consulting a specialist, Vijay was advised to have a CT scan of his brain. After continuous testing, Vijay was diagnosed with a brain tumor and was recommended surgery at the earliest. He was really apprehensive regarding the results of the operation and treatment, and was consequently admitted to the hospital, and the operation began. On the day of the operation, Vijay's dad brought a picture of Swami into the hospital and with utmost faith started praying for his divine mercy and protection so that the tumor could be cured and Vijay could survive this health crisis.
After a long, tense procedure and an hour, the chief neurosurgeon deemed the operation was successful and declared that the tumor was almost gone, and Vijay's chances were very good. Vijay and his father thanked Swami for the blessing and continued to lead their days praying and blissfully speaking of his divinity. After some time passed, Vijay's health started suffering, and once again he was plagued with severe headache yet again, upon which he expressed his request of wanting to see Baba in Puttaparthi to his father, which his father obliged. No sooner had they arrived at Puttaparthi than Baba came to the entrance. He glanced lovingly at Vijay and his father, and lo and behold, Vijay said, "Papa, my headache is gone." 2 days later, Vijay and his dad attended the appointment with Dr. Verma, a specialist in Puttaparthi. He examined Vijay thoroughly and declared that the tumor was indeed gone, also exclaiming, "Baba is the greatest of all surgeons. He has cured this young child completely."
This story again shows that faith can overcome any barrier. In other words, this is resilience, the key to facing and overcoming challenges. This attribute creates perseverance and grit, and it fills us with true faith that the Lord will look after us and protect His devotees. These miracles often reaffirm that He looks after us and at us at all times. After Vijay's diagnosis regarding the tumor, it was faith alone that led his father to pray to Swami's mercy and divine love so that his son could be protected from this malignancy. Vijay was a true devotee, and upon resurgence of the headaches, went to Puttaparthi, despite not being well, held on to his faith to see Swami and asked for his blessings.
I would like to share a lesson which I learned from the story. I can apply the moral of the story to my real life. Whenever I'm given a goal, for example, I may be preparing for a big test, I know within my heart that Swami will be with me at all times to guide me. However, effort on my part is also required, and I will put 100% of it in so that I can actually be worthy of the success that I want to attain in my academic efforts. It is with absolute certainty that I know and believe that Swami will be there watching me and guiding me throughout my whole life. You have to put your effort into your work, and whenever you offer your hard work and effort, Swami would accept it.
This story has taught me some very valuable lessons. Even though I know Swami is omnipresent and He will help me through my difficulties, that doesn't mean I don't work hard to achieve my goals. I learned that no matter what the outcome is, as long as you work hard and are truly determined, Swami will help you achieve your goals and also inspire you to be the best at whatever direction you go, at whatever you decide to pursue. This is such an inspiring story to me, as I never lose hope knowing that Swami is with me on all my endeavors. I understand that though Swami cured Vijay in his physical form, we must know that Swami is not limited to his physical form, and even though he might not be there physically, He still look after us and guide us. Therefore, we should not lose faith, no matter what happens throughout our lives.
Swami is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. He is always with us, and this is exemplified when He helped the boy by curing his ailment and helping the boy heal. I also feel that sometimes He will be near us, and we might not realize that He is watching from afar, because that is for our own. Any act of God comes from a place of love, even if He does not appear. Even if something goes wrong, Swami is always with you to give you strength and courage to face things to the best of our ability. It is like He carries us through to the other side like a buoy.
I have learned a lot from this story. This story has taught me that God will help me, but I still need to try. When I have big projects to do, I always plan it out and do it step by step. I know God will help me because I'm trying and I'm giving it my best. So it doesn't matter if it's a big test or a life-threatening sickness. You still need to try to achieve your goals, or God won't assist you with your troubles.
I was set to undergo my sacred thread ceremony, called Upanayanan, which means opening an eye of wisdom, this summer. We had made all the arrangements and my grandparents to fly in. However, Swami had a very different plan for my Upanayanan. He opened my eyes by virtue of one of the most torrid times I had ever been in the form of unexpected tragedies. I had lost both my tatas and my peripa, did not see my mom for 75 days, and saw my parents silently going through grief while masking it with sunny smiles to us. My grandfather, Tata, had an extreme love for his elder brother, Peripa, for the sacrifice he made with the family by remaining unmarried. So when Peripa fell ill, my Tata ran to admit him in the hospital on his own, disregarding the risk of infection. When my dad asked him why he undertook such a huge risk, his only explanation was, "Son, I had to keep my promise to my mom on her deathbed that I would take care of my elder brother." As emotional as that sounded, my dad was concerned for my Tata, and his worst fears came true. On July 26th, my Peripa passed away due to COVID, and a week later, my Tata and Pati were rushed to the hospital due to symptoms. 48 days of battle ensued, and my family pursued every treatment under the sun, including medicines, vaccines, plasma transfusions, arranged to the Sai Center, and more. Although these were successful in helping him survive COVID-19, he eventually succumbed to the secondary infections. My Tata was an ardent devotee of sage Kanchi Sri Shankaracharya. In the early hours of Thursday, September 18th, Swami came to take my Tata away on a very auspicious day, a day that meant a lot to him. To leave Earth on this date was his choice, and this wish was granted. Luckily, both my grandmothers survived. I thought to myself, what was our fault? Why did we have to undergo this tumultuous and traumatic time? But the God that gives us the problems also gives us the solution to face it. He carried us through this in the following ways. He kept us healthy and safe. He made us worthy enough to support our grandfathers in every possible way, financially, emotionally, and physically. He showered us with light and love through all of our friends, well-wishers, and extended family. I believe that his Upanayanam for me entailed the following lessons. 1. An invisible, non-living thing is strong enough to bring everything around us crumbling to the ground. Geopolitical and socio-economic superpowers, and even the healthiest beings. Therefore, pride, ego, and vanity are not only meaningless, but laughable. Swami was with us every step of the way. That does not imply no trouble. It only means that he empowers us with the strength to endure any trouble. There undoubtedly was a mighty storm, but he ensured we remained afloat. I do not know if this is the beginning of the end or the end of the beginning. However, I do strongly believe that Swami is with us and all is going to be well. With this faith in our hearts, we shall continue to perform our work with the same zeal and sincerity in all that we offer at his lotus feet.
We offer our humble pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Mother Sai. Sairam everyone, I'm Aishwarya.
Sairam, I am Misha.
And welcome back to the SSE podcast.
Today's topic is service. With us today, we have two strong devotees of Swami to help educate us more on the topic of service.
To start off, can you introduce yourselves?
Sairam everyone, I'm Reena.
And I'm Bhairavi.
So firstly, we would like to ask what service means to you.
That's a good question, since service could have multiple meanings depending on the person.
We should all share our input on this discussion. Personally, I think service means to be selfless and to help others without the thought of, what will I get from this? Service comes from the good in your heart. You shouldn't expect anything out of it.
I also assume that service means to accommodate others, not by your actions, but your heart. First, you should think about what you're doing, then use your words to respond to it and act it out. When you follow these steps, it will lead you to your heart. Your heart is important so that everyone can understand who you are.
Yeah, I agree that when you're doing service, it comes from your heart and should not expect anything in return.
On to our next discussion. We would like to ask if any of you had any experience or story you'd like to share on the topic.
Ever since I was little, my dad told me to always keep aside 10% of my personal money to give towards seva activities. I was reluctant at first because I thought it's my money and I want to keep it for myself. 2 years ago, we went to India for the first time in my life. While traveling the streets of Shirdi and Puttaparthi, I noticed how many homeless people were on the streets. It made me so uncomfortable because I had never seen anything like it. That's when I decided that I had to do something. I told my dad that I wanted to buy these people some food, and luckily, my parents supported the idea. I started keeping aside some food at dinner to give to the homeless. Since then, for the past couple of years, at least once a month, out of my earnings gained from chores and other work, I would give 10% of my earnings towards the community. I could keep the money for myself and buy more stuff, but I have realized that I can only be truly happy if I feel like I live in a place that is safe and comfortable for everyone. It is a nice idea to say that we care about other people, but by actually keeping 10% of my money for the community, I feel like I'm actually taking a step, even if it is a small one, towards making a positive change. It also affects the way I see the world because I no longer just think about myself.
When I was in grade 4 and 5, I was also in the athletic council. We would support the school and do a bunch of activities that would involve our topic service. When we fundraised, the money went wild. We raised more than $20,000 in only 2 to 3 months. I would also help the school the same as what I do at home. At school, I would do the laundries to clean the jerseys, say the announcements in the morning, pump out the balls, and operate all the activities during the nutrition breaks. Doing all of this work was amazing because it felt meaningful, but I also learned about being a leader, especially because I never really thought of myself as one. It was loads of hard work, and I had to learn how to manage my priorities along with my responsibilities. I'm so thankful that I have been able to learn these skills while also being able to practice the values that matter to me.
In the spring months, we would have to do online school. My mom and dad would have to go to work and could not help my sister with their homework sometimes. So after I was done with my own work, I would help my younger sister with her homework too. Also, we would both have music classes, so I would sometimes help her practice. Swami had said demonstrating social services would be its own reward. So when I was helping or practicing with my sister, I realized it was pretty fun and that was its own reward. We got to hang out together in a nice setting, and we found a way to keep each other company during the shutdown. When everyone was activities in the community, I was still able to do Save at home, and that it can still be fun too. Like the saying goes, service begins at home.
A few years ago, my family and I got to take a trip to Tanzania in East Africa, where my father grew up. I had heard about some of the challenges faced by some of the children there, and I thought about how Swami blessed a school for the children with special needs to support them. So I decided to try and take some initiative. I talked to my sister about doing a small Save Up project when we went to Tanzania. She thought it was a great idea too, so we got to work right away, and we started by trying to raise money for our project. We baked cookies and we sold them in every place that we could think of. We told everyone what the money was for so that they knew that they were helping with a very important project. By the end of it, my sister and I had raised $300. It felt great. When we realized how much we could do with that money, we took out our own saved up money out of our piggy bank, and it was about $100 more. So altogether, we had $400 for our service project at the school in Tanzania. When we reached, we went to a little market and bought food and gifts with the money that we raised. We drove to the school and shared the food and gifts with the children and interacted with them. It required some sacrifice in our part, but it was truly an amazing experience and really made me think about how easily we can try and be a leader and get other people to join us too.
Oh, speaking of which, I just remembered a story from Swami's life. Remember the Pushpagiri fair?
Yes, I do remember.
When Swami used to do his education outside of Bukkapatnam in a place called Kamalapuram, he lived with his brother Seshamaraju. He attended school every day, quite like in Bukkapatnam. Whenever a drama was in session, he had sung the opening prayers. His voice was of those of the angels. He was called to sing at almost every opening prayer. There was a scoutmaster who wanted Sathya to join his troop. The kids in the troop consistently pleaded for him to join, but Sathya always tried to find an excuse to not join. Finally, Sathya joined in time for the Pushpagiri cattle fair, which was where the scoutmaster was taking them.
What the others did not know was that the reason Sathya was avoiding the trip to the Pushpagiri fair was because he could not afford it. The bus fare was 10 rupees per child. However, Sathya didn't have any money. He also did not have money for the uniform they had to wear on the trip, let alone any money to buy food while he was there. But Sathya had made a commitment and he was going to stick to it. Young Satya Narayana Raju then sold his books from previous grades to a needy boy. The boy could not pay very much for the books, so Satya sold the books only for the amount he needed for the field trip to the Pushpagiri fair. Once he arrived at Pushpagiri, it was late at night. Satya had walked all the way just so he could save the bus fare. He found a place on the campground and slept outside only to find the money he brought along has been stolen. Tired and hungry, Sathya came across a man on the side of the road inviting people to gamble their money in a few games. Sathya went in and played a few rounds and stopped when he won enough money to get by.
This is how far Swami went to ensure that he was fulfilling his commitments. At the same time, however, Swami went through so much hardship. In fact, instead of being praised for his work, Sathya got into so much trouble with his family as soon as he got home. Some may think that this is a very sad story, and it is. But Swami has shared this story from his own life because Swami wants us to understand that we must care for the conditions of the poor. Swami always tells this story and says that we must not forget that so many people struggle like this because of poverty. This is why Swami has set up many programs to help everyone.
It's just awful to think that Swami went home after all that struggle and was punished by his elder brother and sister-in-law. They just could not understand how special young Sathya was. This is why it is so important for families to learn about human values. We are so lucky that our families support us to take on leadership, activities, and service activities so that we can improve our lives and the community around us. Swami's commitment to social change is beyond inspiring.
Absolutely. There is so much to learn from Swami's life, and we can only keep trying to do our best in our own small way too. Never forget that every little effort counts.
Thank you to everyone in our discussion today. That's all the time we have for this session. Thanks for tuning in on SSE Podcast. Sairam.
The Serpent's Hill by Amog, Sachin, Atishchin, Brindavan, and Hari. Once upon a time, in a village known as Uruvakunda, a young boy named Sathya went to high school. Young Sathya was considered a prodigy because he was already a splendid writer, a talented musician, a captivating dancer, and he knew more than the teachers at his school. Sathya was well known in his village for his talents and also for his divine powers. Many would watch in awe as Sathya would materialize fruits, flowers, and sweets just by waving his hand. Not only that, but Sathya was the leader of his school's prayer group, guided the drama team, and excelled in sports. He was inspiring through his actions and was a role model, not only for the students, but even for the teachers.
During high school, Sathya had the opportunity to direct the school's play. Sathya was eager and started right away, and when he was done, he created a sensation. Not only was Sathya playing the charismatic hero, but the play was meaningful. It was based on hypocrisy. The definition of hypocrisy is the practice of claiming to have moral standards and beliefs, but not acting upon it. Sathya played Krishna, and throughout the play, Krishna notices his mother, father, and teacher all acting hypocritically and lying for their own benefit. The moral of the play is shown when Krishna speaks to them and explains that what they are doing is immoral. Within the play, Krishna makes them aware of their actions and they decide to act and speak the truth from then on. Sathya wrote this play focused on morality and ethics when he was 12 years old. This is an example how insightful and justice-minded Swami was as a child, and he wanted his community to learn through the story of the play.
A few years later, when Sathya was playing outside with his friends, they suddenly heard him yell while holding his toe. According to Sathya, he had been stung by a scorpion. Although no scorpion was found in the area, he fell unconscious and quickly became very sick. With no way of diagnosing what was wrong, Sathya's brother, Seshama Raju, brought a doctor who tried to treat him. However, nothing would work. After a few days, Sathya recovered on his own, but he was very different. Sathya appeared to have transformed into a new person with a new personality. He would burst into song and poetry, or recite Sanskrit verses or philosophy, or even suddenly burst into tears or laughter. Many in the village thought Sathya was possessed by a demon. His parents took Sathya to an exorcist. This exorcist was intent on getting this demon out, so he cut into Sathya's scalp and poured burning liquid on him. Finally, Sathya's parents could not handle the torture of their son and told the exorcist to stop, even though their son was not cured.
A few years later, on May 23, 1940, Sathya called everyone in his family to come to him as he manifested candy and fruits from thin air. His father arrived home to see a large crowd watching Sathya and calling him an incarnation of God. Sathya's father was frustrated and confused by the strange behavior and picked up a stick, walked to Sathya threateningly, and said, "Are you a demon that has possessed my son?" Sathya replied, "I am Sai Baba of Apastamba Sutra and the lineage of sage Bharadwaja. Pray to me every Thursday, and I shall ward off your problems. One day, Sathya and his family went to the Virupaksha temple. Sathya told Seshama Raju, his brother, and the others to go inside and pray, while Sathya waited outside the temple. While they were praying inside the dark temple, the priest waved the flame in front of the statue. But instead of the Shivalingam, his family saw Sathya standing inside the inner sanctum with a smile on his face. Seshama was shocked, and he ran outside only to find Sathya standing leisurely at the temple entrance. Swami's brother went back and forth a few times to make sure he was not imagining, but each time he saw Sathya inside the temple, replacing the deity, but also standing outside like everyone else.
How this story resonates with us. Saram. A part of the story that resonated with me was when Swami produced his school's play based on hypocrisy. As I thought about it more, I realized that 12-year-old Swami was trying to teach his friends, classmates, and teachers a very common and unfortunate problem. All of us, including myself, have unknowingly been hypocritical at some point in our lives. For example, I talk about acting sustainably in my everyday life to help the issue of climate change. However, I still sometimes take long showers and do not recycle properly. Using the moral that Swami taught in this play, I will try to stick to my word and act more honestly in my life. The moral also teaches me that I should not be afraid to accept my mistakes and try to encourage myself and others to live with integrity, because others might learn from it too.
The story by young Sathya sharing his divinity at 14 really touched me. Being the same age as young Sathya, I can only attempt to understand the extent of how committed I would need to be to the beliefs and goals that I have to achieve. I also understand the significance of making sacrifices in order to help others and the importance of learning to be fluent in Tamil so I can be good at my mother tongue. It is extremely relevant to try our best to make a change wherever we can, and that's something I have to reflect on going forward.
The story that deeply resonates with me is the change Sathya goes through after he was bitten by the scorpion. It makes me visualize inside my head about what happened during that time and how everyone else was completely misunderstanding about what was going on. Satya's family brought in an exorcist because they could not comprehend the spiritual changes that happened to Swami. It makes me think about how much difficulty Swami went through, but he was still committed to fulfilling his duty and bringing people together for seva and for learning about unity.
The part of the story that resonates with me is when Sathya Sai Baba assured everyone that if the devotees prayed to him, he would ward off all our problems. Baba was teaching us the power of prayer even at that young age. This means a lot to me because in life we may have a lot of problems. Prayers may or may not remove all our problems, but will certainly make us understand that no matter what, God is always watching over us and can give us the strength to deal with these problems.
Saram. One of the stories that really resonated with me was the part when Swami's brother, Seshama Raju, was surprised to see that young Sathya was in place of the deity at the temple. As I thought more about this part of the story, I found that this specific story represents Swami's omnipresence. Swami is everywhere and is always with us and is always near us. In the story, even though Swami was seen elsewhere, he appeared before his brother inside the temple. Swami can show up at any moment, in any place, in any form, to help us learn something when we really need to. Knowing this gives me a lot of strength and a lot of courage. And it is also why one of my favorite bhajans is Why Fear When I Am Here. Jai Saram.
We offer our humble pranams to the lotus feet of our dear Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, respecting uncles, aunties, brothers, and sisters. Om Shri Saram. We would first like to wish Swami a very happy birthday. This year's our offering to Swami is very different than what we have offered these past years. We have been put in difficult times during the year of 2020. By helping and supporting each other, we will comfort everyone and make things less difficult to deal with. Swami has always encouraged us to help others, help ever, hurt never. This message always appeared throughout his life. One scenario was from his teenage years.
When Swami was in grade 8, he went to high school in Urvakunda. There he lived with his older brother, Sesamaraju. Back in the day, clean drinking water was limited and not very accessible. You would have to walk miles to get a bucket of clean water. So for the sake of his brother and his family, little Satyam would walk a few miles every day in the morning and evening to provide drinking water for his brother and for his family. He did this by placing a bamboo stick on his shoulder and placing a bucket on each side. Later on, the neighbors found out about his hard-working deeds and lovingly asked him if he could bring water for them too. Swami, being the loving boy he was, agreed cheerfully and did this painful task every day. As time passes, Swami returns to Puttaparthi for the holidays. Mother Isharama decided on the day of his arrival she was going to give Swami an oil bath. As she started applying the oil, she found many calluses on the shoulder where his skin had darkened. Heartbroken, Mother Isharama asked with a heavy heart how this had happened. Swami, with an unflattering smile, told her it was from bringing water many times for his brother. With tears brimming from her eyes, she asked him why he did that. Swami told her that he wanted his brother to have access to good water. He told her that his main purpose in his life was to love all, serve all. Though this did not console Mother Isharama, she understood what he meant.
Everyone knows that Swami has a love of 1,000 mothers. He only seeks to help others, no matter how much physical suffering he has to endure. He is a person who lives by example and has a message to share in every scenario of his life. There are two key messages in this story. One is to always help others. Swami is always helping others to show his motherly love to the world. I can relate to this because I have been helping my mother clean the house so she doesn't strain her muscles. I have also been helping my parents take care of my sister when they're busy. Developing good habits at home will give you the will to help others around the world. We should always help one another. It is how we can find inner peace and stay happy all the time. Another message in this story is to not take natural resources for granted, the most common being water. In many places, there are people like Swami who literally struggle to provide water for their families. Swami has continued to help people that are in need of water, and he has built many wells around India. We should also try to find ways to help people that are in need of water. I have never taken water for granted. I always make sure I never waste water. I will continue to be watchful of my water usage, and I encourage others to be grateful for water and use it in good amounts.
As we all know, Swami's love for us is greater than anything. He will go through so much suffering just to help others, no matter how hard the task is. He will do it with no hesitation. Just like in the story, he walked miles to get clean water for his family, and even though it was already hard for him to get water for his family, he still with no hesitation got water for his neighbors. When they asked, and the amount of pain he must have felt, he still didn't say no to his neighbors. Swami says his life is his message, so whatever he does is to show us the amount of love he has for us. That he wants to show us to put ourselves in others' shoes and think about what they're going through. That's exactly what he did. With all the pain he was going through to getting water for his family, he still thought of how his neighbors felt and did the task for them. I can relate to it by helping my brother with his homework, or things like fixing his work and just helping him in general. Another message that I see in the story is to be grateful for the things we have. Back in the day, clean drinking water was not something that was easy for people to get. It was really hard to get water. But now we could just go to our sink and get clean water, and we should be grateful for having clean water to drink. And we don't have to go far for it, whereas back then you had to go miles just to get clean water. I believe that water is something to value. And I can make sure I save water by not leaving the tap on for too long or taking less time in the shower. By doing these things, I make sure that I can also save water.
Swami is the most loving and caring person I know. He will go out of his way to do anything for anyone. Like Swami says, we should be nice to everyone because you don't know what they have been through. I help my family because I do simple tasks around the house, For example, I do the dishes and give stuff they ask for. I also do the laundry and fold all the clothes. When I'm going to help someone, I don't expect anything in return. We have so many problems in the world that we don't know about because we don't have those problems ourselves. What I mean by that is we don't know what it's like being thirsty for a week because we always have water ready to drink. I would like to be grateful for the amazing things that I have. For example, you may say that you don't want the kind of food that is being served. Sometimes, let's say I have beans, broccoli, rice, and tomatoes. I don't like tomatoes. On the other hand, I have read on the internet that every 6 seconds a child dies without having food or water. I will be grateful for the water and food that I have and try not to waste it.
This story shows us that Swami will always help others because he follows his teachings, help ever hurt never, love all serve all, and hands that help are holier than lips that pray. I can relate to this message because before COVID-19, my family and I would volunteer at the temple and cook food for others, even though it was a tedious job to cook for hundreds of people, and my family will continue to do so after COVID-19 as well. After cooking for everyone, I felt happy that everyone was enjoying and eating the food that I helped make. This story also shows us to be grateful for what we have because we are more fortunate than others, and we don't have to walk miles for our water, and our basic necessities are easily accessible. I can relate to this message because when I do something for myself, I think of others too. For example, when my family and I are eating, when I get a plate for myself, I also get a plate for my family.
In conclusion, we should all help one another without any expectations. We should also be thankful for the natural resources we have easy access to. Thank you, and Om Shri Sai Ram.
Go. Saram everyone, welcome back to the Sathya Side podcast, where we talk about Swami's stories from throughout his life. Today, we have a story from his childhood, from when he attended middle school. As a young child, Swami attended a school in Kamalapuram, which is a small town a few hours away from Puttaparthi. Swami, who was known as Sathya Narayana Raju, lived with his older brother, Seshamaraju. An annual village fair was held in a neighboring town called Pushpagiri. The drill teacher at Swami's school, who was also the scoutmaster, took the children on a field trip to the fair every year.
Now children, you all know that the village fair is coming up soon.
Yes, sir.
Good. Remember, every year our scouts attend the fair as volunteer participants. You will help out with various small jobs at the fair, and you will also represent our school. As scout volunteers, you must all wear the scout uniform of khaki shirts and trousers, along with a belt and a whistle. Make sure in a week you all have the scout uniform.
Yes, sir. Upon hearing this, young Sathya felt very worried. He had a big problem. Sathya didn't have any money. It was already such a big struggle to go to school. Swami only had one uniform that he washed and re-wore every day. He walked a far distance to go to school because he could not pay for the bus. Young Satyanarayana did not have any money to buy a new uniform and the expenses for the Pushpagiri fair. Swami was a very hard-working student, and he was also the leader of the scout group at school. One day, after practice, the drill master gave Swami the opportunity to lead their entire group of scouts at the fair.
Raju, come here. I need to speak with you.
Yes, sir. What is it that you need to speak with me about?
You have been doing a very good job as the scout leader at school. You bring everybody together very nicely. As a scout leader, I would like you to be ready on the day of the fair. You must bring your classmates fully prepared.
Thank you, sir. I will surely do my best.
After this conversation, Swami was thinking about how he could possibly attend the fair when he couldn't even afford the clothes. So, he devised a plan to mend the situation at school. Once Swami arrived at school the next day, he made an announcement.
Classmates, I have an announcement to make. I am very sorry about this, but I will not be able to attend the fair.
After talking to his classmates, Sathya appointed an assistant scout leader and told him to lead the class. Upon hearing this, Sathya's classmates refused to go without him.
Sathya, if you are not going to attend the fair, we will not attend either.
Yes, Raju. It will not be any fun if you don't come with us. You have to join us.
Raju, you are my best friend and you are friends with everyone in our group. If you do not come, all of us will feel very lonely.
None could understand what Swami's predicament was, except for Ramesh. He sat next to Swami at school, and because of the closeness of their friendship, he figured out that the problem was probably because of the cost. Since Ramesh was the same size as Swami, he decided that he would try to ask his father for a second uniform.
Father, I have something to ask you.
Yes, what is it?
I really like our Khaki Scouts uniform. Can you get 2 pairs stitched for me instead of just 1?
Why would you need 2? 1 should be enough.
Well, if my uniform gets dirty, it would be good to have an extra pair.
If it gets dirty, then wash it.
Okay, yeah, but what about if it gets ripped when I'm at the fair? Then what would I do?
I've already stated my answer, Ramesh.
For the next few days, Ramesh came to his father, asking him to buy the uniform, but his father continued to say no. But one day,
Son, I have decided that I will get the 2 pairs stitched for you. But I must ask, what is the real reason why you need them?
Ramesh felt awful because if his father found out of the true reason, it would only cause Swami's family even more hardship. So he lied.
I just think it would be nice to have another pair, Father.
Once Ramesh received the uniforms, he kept one for himself and went to give the second one to Swami.
Raju, you are my best friend and you're like a brother to me. I asked my father to stitch 2 uniforms so that you could wear one of them. Please take it so that you can come with us to the Pushpagiri Fair. None of us can bear to go without you.
Ramesh, you are indeed like my brother. Our friendship is pure. It is a heart-to-heart relationship. Thank you for getting this gift for me, but I cannot accept it. Our relationship is not one of give and take. Our relationship is based on love and love. For the sake of our Ramesh, please take back these clothes. But since you and the others are asking, I'll be sure to attend the fair with you.
Swami then found a way to sell some of his books to another student to earn just a little bit of money to cover the cost of attending the fair so that he could be there to support his classmates. Now, let's look at some personal reflections that the cast of this script have written about this wonderful story.
Saram, my name is Kishan, and I was Swami in this podcast. Swami was committed to going to school even though he didn't have the luxuries and basic needs that most people had. He didn't even accept money and clothes even though it was free because he wanted to ensure that his friendship came before any materialistic expectations. We get jealous when someone gets the newest, shiniest thing and we feel like we need it too. Swami had to go to school without any of the luxuries we have now, not to mention his school was in a different town. It makes me think about how lucky I am to have so many things in my life and that we should always think about how we can help everyone have a good life.
My thoughts from this story is that no friendship can last if it's just giving things to one another. A friendship should be based on love. Ramesh tried to help his friend Sathya, but in order to get a second uniform, he lied to his father. Although we may not think much of it, if we disregard something like this, it may become a normal habit and the friendship will turn into expectations of give and take. To conclude, a friend should be based on love and the connection you have with the person. If the friendship is based off gifts, you'll develop a bad habit of always giving gifts, which leads to an unhealthy friendship.
Hello, my name is Shrivaran and I was Ramesh in this story. My reflection is that Sathya did not accept gifts from anyone including his best friend. By doing this, Swami taught us that a friendship has a heart-to-heart connection and is not based on status. It is important how and why a gift is given, but one has to understand why and how the gift is given. In the story, Swami showed us that lying is never a good solution. Swami also gave us an inspiring message that while you cannot oblige everyone, you can speak politely. Swami lovingly explained to his friend that why he was unable to accept his gift. I learned that I should always choose my words carefully and be selfless and loving towards everyone.
For me, this story is about friendship, the friendship between Baba and Ramesh. This story teaches us how to be a good friend by looking at Swami's example. Swami's friendship with Ramesh was based on just selflessness and mutual respect for each other. Friendship should be based on mutual respect and understanding and trying to be non-judgmental, which is one thing I think everybody can take away from the story. Swami reflects on these traits, and that is why everyone respects him no matter what caste or religion he was. Every time we do something, we should always keep in our mind, if Swami was here, would we still do the same thing?
To me, true friendship means caring for someone, just like how Ramesh cared for Swami. Friendship means sharing in our friends' joy and sorrow, showing empathy when there is a need. True friendship has to go beyond caste, community, and race. And to me, other than my parents, I can truly learn this from my loving Swami. True friendship means friends should be able to transform each other and make permanent changes in each other's lives. Ramesh wanted to do a big favor for his friend Sathya, but he instead learned an important lesson about how to do it the right way. Ramesh got to understand the value of having an honest heart-to-heart connection. This story makes me realize how fortunate I am. It teaches me that I should reduce my desires. I should live my life like Swami. Live simply with high thinking.
Okay, thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. We hope to see you soon.
Om Shri Sai. We offer our humble pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Shri Sathya Sai Baba.
My name is Shreya, and I am one of Subhama's relatives.
My name is Anelia, and I am Swami in Story 1 and 2.
My name is Riona, and I am Subhama in Story 1.
My name is Sabrina, and I am the narrator.
My name is Saya Amarta, and I am Subhama in Story 2.
One sunny evening in Puttaparthi, Baba was speaking with the local children after a long school day.
Swami, we are so hungry. Please give us some food.
My Suma serves the most delicious food. Let's go to her house. She will gladly make food for us.
Yay!
Swami and the children made their way to Subhama's house together. Upon seeing him, Subhama gladly rushed down and welcomed her beloved Sathya and all of the children in. Subhama quickly prepared some tasty sambar rice. The children sat themselves down in a row.
Let us sit down, then say the prayer and Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmano.
Subhama lovingly served every child enough food that they ate a hearty meal. Having been young Satya's neighbor since he was a baby, Subhama knew that Swami always wanted others to be served first and to be served well.
Oh dear Swami, you have come to my house with these young children so they can eat something, but now there is barely just one morsel left for you. I know that you always want others to be fed well, but please, just for my sake, allow me to feed you this little bit of rice from my own hands so that I can be satisfied that you also ate.
Suma, you know I am happy and I am full when I see everyone else has eaten. But because you always do everything with so much love, I will eat this last morsel of food from your hand.
Dear children, I know that Sathya is like your elder brother and friend, but he's a special soul. You are all so lucky to know him.
One time when Swami visited Subama, she had something important to say to him.
Swami, will you grant me one wish?
Of course, Subama.
Before I die and leave the body, Swami, will you come give me the holy water so that my soul can live peacefully?
Suma, you know I will always come for you. I will surely be there.
Years later, as Swami's work was growing and thousands of people used to come for Swami's darshan, beloved Subama became very ill. As her condition got worse, Subama's relatives wondered if Swami would fulfill his promise and be with Subama when she breathed her last breath.
Swami is so far away in Bangalore. How will he come here in time for Subama? She is barely holding on.
As Swami left Bangalore to go to Subama's house, the family members informed everyone that Subama had breathed her last and passed away. Yet some people in the house felt like there's still life in her body. They did not take Subama for cremation right away. Her body laid at home just waiting for Swami.
Subama, I am here for you. I am here for you.
As Swami called out Subama's name, everyone saw a miracle. Subama opened her eyes. Everyone thought that she was dead. Subama looked at Swami as he held her hand. Then Subama poured the holy water of Ganga into his palm, into Subama's mouth, and she peacefully took her last breath with darling Sathya by her side. This is an amazing story, but we're just kids. How do these stories relate to us? When I first read the story, it touched my heart. I felt like I was seeing my own self in the reflection. To be honest, I love to see people happy. I could understand how Swami felt when everyone was fed well. I think it was also why Swami's teachings about service and kindness make sense to me. It gives me a lot of joy when everyone is happy and well taken. Even if sometimes I have to miss out, I can still be happy for others, whether they're my friends or my family or even strangers.
Something that resonated with me from the stories was how devoted to Swami Subama was. She took care of his every need and did it happily. The only thing she wanted from Swami was to bless her with love. I wish to be like this too. I hope that I can also learn to just make people happy without expecting anything in return, and that the happiness of the people I love will be my reward. I try to do this by helping my classmates with their homework when I can, or by doing small things around the house to help my family. Another thing that resonated with me was how Swami kept his promise to Subama even after all those years. It makes me think that I should always call on Swami even if it seems like it is an impossible situation.
We spend so much of our lives thinking about ourselves, seeing only from our perspective how things affect us, what we want or don't want, what makes us feel good or what brings us joy. But how often do we stop to shift our perspective to see and learn these answers from another's point of view? How often do we pause to see the world from beyond our own selves? The stories about Subama make us realize what it means to be a selfless and kind person. She didn't stop to think about how something might benefit her. She did it because her mind was dedicated to serving the community. No matter if the children were rich or poor, she fed them. Swami also knew that he could count on her to support everyone. Subama became a role model and example for everyone. I should think more about this and pay attention to what it feels like when I do service or help someone. That feeling should be the reason I do it, not because there is a reward.
Live life by keeping your promises. This is exactly what Swami did for Suma and her whole life of devotion and service. Even though Swami was the child Suma had cared for since he was a baby, and Suma always loved him as though he was her own child. But she never refused to feed other kids and only feed Swami. She fed everyone and ensured everyone got to eat, and also that Swami got the joy of watching everyone have a meal. After all the loving, kind deeds Suma displayed, Swami fed back the same devotion by keeping his own promise to her, because the love between Swami and Suma was pure.
I think that Swami is very selfless. He thinks about others before himself. He doesn't do it because he gets something out of it. Swami does things to help others out of love, which is very important. And because of this, others also feel encouraged to be selfless too, like how Subama always chose to be selfless and serve everyone with love, the way Swami did. Swami also fulfilled his promises, even though everyone thought Subama was not alive. This reminds me of how important it is to keep our promises that we made to people we love. Through all the lessons that Swami's taught us about selfless service, I remember one time when I was a little kid, my family had gone to Disney World. We saw a small girl who had gotten lost and separated from her family. She was walking around barefoot on the hot ground. I saw this and told my mom that we should go and help her, so I gave her my shoes to wear. Since my mom was carrying me, I knew that I could help this girl. It is similar to like how Subama could do all her service. She knew that Swami was always supporting her, so she would always find a way to do good things.
On November 23, 1990, Sai Baba announced that a new hospital would be constructed in Puttaparthi. This hospital would be made accessible by all, no matter the individual social status, race, or religion. The concept of the idea to build such a hospital came from Mother Ishwarama herself, after she requested Swami to build it.
Sathya, I've been thinking.
Yes, Graham Amai.
Many devotees are coming from around the world to see you because of your many miracles. I would like you to perform one more miracle for humanity. Swami, I wish that you build a new hospital in the village of Puttaparthi. This is my desire.
Of course, Graham Amai. I'll make your wish come true. But may I know why?
We live in a village with a government hospital that has limited resources and cannot satisfy the needs of the citizens. This new hospital in Puttaparthi will help the sick and suffering. A hospital that will admit any person, no matter how they look, dress, their social status, or identification. I would like the hospital to serve all of humanity. That is why.
Amai, when you ask something of me, I respond with anything else. I am bound by the unconditional love and kindness you shower on everyone around you. I vow to build a hospital so people from other countries will come to visit, and they will see a clean, pristine hospital and will not be able to see a speck of dust present anywhere.
And so the Sri Sathya Sai Super Speciality Hospital was built. It specializes in cardiology, vascular surgery, neurology, and neurosurgery. To this day, the hospital still stands, but it cannot have been built without the millions of rupees in donations going to the construction of the hospital and Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
While millions of rupees went into building this hospital, our next story shows that money was not necessarily the main concern for the miracle worker, Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
Process of giving donation. One day, a pious man walked into the construction site.
Swami, someone is here to see you. He's really eager to meet you and talk to you about the hospital.
Bring him in then.
The potential donor was an affluent, intelligent man. He walked in confidently, sporting a pitch-black suit and tie. From first sight, you could immediately tell he was wealthy.
Hello, Swami. I have a proposition for your construction project for, what is it? Specialty hospital? I'm willing to support your small venture over here.
What would you like?
I would like to donate 10 lakh rupees.
10 lakh rupees? That is a hefty sum of money. But I am afraid I will have to decline that amount.
But why? 10 lakh rupees is surely enough for you. What more do you need? 1 crore rupees? 10 crore rupees?
Bangaru, I will not be accepting your money. Save it.
Alright. Thank you for your time. I will be back.
And so, the wealthy businessman left half-heartedly as he trudged across the room with a melancholic and defeated face. Meanwhile, almost as if it was fate, a man with a conversely different personality than the wealthy businessman. He had no money to his name, but attended budgeons every day to receive the free food that was provided at the budgeons.
Swami, a new potential donor is here.
Bring him here.
Sairam, Swami.
Sairam, young man. What brings you here today?
Well, Swami, I have a donation to give to help with your hospital. It's not much, but I would like to donate all of my savings to this cause. I believe you can use it much more wisely than I ever could.
Of course! I would love to accept it.
Thank you so much, Swami.
The worker may lead you out.
Swami, I have a question.
All right.
Forgive me for asking, but why did you refuse to accept the wealthy man's money? It could greatly help in the construction of this hospital.
The monetary value of the money a man gives does not matter to me.
What do you mean, Swami?
You see, I value one's devotion higher than their monetary value. The richer man was able to give me every dollar I needed to build this hospital, while the kind man offered me everything he had. While 10,000 rupees is a giant amount, he wasn't doing it out of kindness.
Swami, why would he do it then?
To satisfy himself. I hope to teach him a lesson by doing this. The poorer man, on the other hand, sacrificed his meals to afford to donate to this cause. I already have everything. I have no need for thousands of rupees. The devotion and love from my devotees is enough for me. This hospital will be a beacon of health in Puttaparthi. People like that man are the reason this hospital is being built.
For almost 30 years, the Sathya Super Speciality Hospital has served the citizens of Puttaparthi faithfully, free, and with love.
I learned no matter what you do to help people, it has to be genuine and should be always out of love and kindness, otherwise Baba won't accept it.
This story, I learned that Baba responds only to love and nothing but love. I will always try to help others, even if I have to sacrifice my own comforts.
The story teaches me to stay humble and be in service of Swami, and that all Swami needs is our devotion and love.
The part that felt meaningful to me was where Swami immediately agreed to build the hospital. He did not think about the size of the project. He just agreed to help his mother, even though it was a huge project. I think this is really important because he respected his mother's wishes, and he got through it without any complaints.
These two stories demonstrate Swami's kindness and love towards us all. It was quite inspiring to believe that one man could change the lives of many thousands of persons. Without discrimination, everyone would be looked after. Supporting the community specifically is important because it takes a collective effort to take care of the world and each other. As Sathya Sai Baba once said, to change the world, one must change themselves first. And I believe that is a worthwhile and beneficial exercise. Sairam.
I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our dearest Mother Sai. Om Shri Sai Ram to all. Hope you have enjoyed this beautiful presentation put together by our Group 3 children. The message, "My story is his story," is perfectly depicted in this presentation. Each and every child worked collectively to reflect and contemplate on Swami's stories by making personal connections. I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate and applaud the children, their gurus and parents for all their support during this difficult time. With limited resources, these children have creatively compiled a garland of 10 video presentations as an offering to our dearest Mother Sai. Dear Swami, on behalf of our children and gurus, we wish you a happy birthday and lots of love. Jai Sai Ram.